Here's why the 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe is hated, yet still loved. Let me set the mood for you. So you're in the car. You've got this beautiful background, ocean blue, maybe purple sky. You decide you want to change the colors in the car. You can come over here and click. Maybe you want fire red. Maybe you want red moon. Maybe you want multicolors. That's right. This little CD looking thing right here, this can give you pretty much any color you want. Want lime green? It's got lime green now. All this beautiful Technicolor setup can be yours if you get a GLC Coupe or any Mercedes-Benz, really. But let me tell you, the GLC has something special in store for you. Come and take a trip. So did this car get you very excited? Did it set you on the edge of your seat? Those flybys look pretty good, I bet. You see, this car, the GLC 300 Coupe, actually was born out of BMW. That's right. Somewhere in the mid-2000s, around 2010, BMW developed something called the X6, which was a sports activity vehicle that was based off of a car. It looked odd. Well, yeah, they gave the idea to Mercedes, and Mercedes took a really long run with it and produced some really crazy stuff. One of it is this GLC 300 right here, Coupe. Underneath the hood is a 2-liter, 250 horsepower, 273 torque motor. Not very big numbers, but this is the base model. You know what else? This car is all new for 2020. It's got the Mercedes-Benz MBUX, which I'll talk about a little later. Let's go over some of the features in front of the car first, though. Okay, this car features all-wheel drive, an all-wheel drive management system to give it good traction on the road and supposedly off the road. It has a 0 to 60 of 6.1 seconds. It has an MPG somewhere in the neighborhood of 21 in the city, 28 on the highway. All these numbers make little to no difference to you. That's right. This car makes little to no difference to you on figures. And the reason for that is it's not here to impress you with figures. It's not even here to impress you at all. This car is in a complete league of its own. A lot of people dislike it, but it doesn't care because it loves to be hated. Let me make a few things clear for you. This car is not an SUV. It's not an SUV. It's actually a coupe on performance-enhancing drugs, kind of like steroids. And so it doesn't really have a major focus. It just wants to be itself, which makes me kind of wonder, if it wants to be itself, then what's up with all the fake stuff? Can you answer? Let me tell you a little bit about what's fake on the car. These vents, they're not real. That's right. These bottom vents are not real. These are real because you can stick your fingers through them, but this isn't. It's not really real. And this isn't either. It's not really real. But none of that matters. Well, maybe to you it doesn't, because this really is not an SUV. It's a coupe with 4 doors, and that's lifted. For 2020, Mercedes-Benz gave this car an AMG look that includes these LED daytime running lights with headlamps. That's right, everything here is LED. The center right here, the jewel piece, this is actually real. Okay, maybe it's not really real, but behind this is actually the radar detection equipment behind the emblem. And on some Mercedes-Benz, this illuminates at night. This particular model, costing well over $50,000, does not have that feature because this is the base model. And that's okay. It really is, because this car doesn't care about base model prices or any type of price. Just to get into a Mercedes-Benz, you have to pay the price. That's right, you do. And this car will make you look good doing it. I present to you the engine bay. Take a good look at all of its 4-cylinder glory with that turbo. Well organized, well oiled, with gas shocks. Because this car does everything with style. It may not be real on the outside with some of its fake grills, but it does have a lot of style. And that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the Mercedes-Benz style. This 3-pointed star right here, it's really hot. But what this car really represents to you is a status symbol. That 3-pointed star is a status symbol. And it's mated with the 9-speed automatic transmission that's designed to make the car work more efficiently, not harder. Sound familiar? What do rich people like to do? Not work and make a lot of money. And that's what this car likes to do. Produce good amount of horsepower without a lot of effort. And through that 9-speed transmission, it's all possible. Let's take a look at the side of the car. There's a couple interesting things I need to show you on this side. But before we go there, do you see anything out of the ordinary on this SUV? The headlight housing. We talked about that. It's LED, right? Mercedes-Benz is now ditching the fog lamps. No more fog lamps. I mean, you still have this fake thing right here, but no more fog lamps. They're compacting all the technology you'll ever need to go off-road right into this headlamp. Pretty cool. Making a little way down here, you'll notice that the 20-inch rim has a very nice, sporty, aggressive tire. It's good for traction when you're going around Beverly Hills or maybe just driving around in Aspen. It's not really designed for off-road, but you get the point. This car is more about style and luxury. It's not about capabilities. Which brings me to another maybe sad note. This side view mirror. Pretty small. But it gives the car a sleek look. And it houses the lane departure warning system, which is pretty impressive considering that it's all housed in this small little side view mirror. Makes me kind of wonder how they're doing it. Now, normally on the AMG version, there would be some more type of aggressive looks with this car. There would be some blacking out of the chrome, some chrome delete here, some flaring of the fenders. But this is the base model. A $50,000 base model car. That, by the way, is one of Mercedes-Benz's #1 selling vehicles of all time. Don't ask me why. Maybe you can answer the question. But taking a good look at these doors, you can see how it's very sporty. Now, normally, the keyless go system, which would allow for keyless access and entry, would be functional right here. To lock the door, you simply push on it. And then to unlock the door, you simply pull on it. That's available as standard on the base model. But I was making you think it wasn't. I'm sorry about that. Anyways, just moving on a little bit more towards here, you'll notice that there are no running boards. Now, on the upgraded versions, you get running boards. They're an option. Something like $1,200. Me personally, I think this car looks good without them. And the running boards, from what I've heard from other people who own these types of cars, on Mercedes-Benz at least, those running boards aren't that great and they're not that functional. They actually get in the way. So, I mean, in a way, these cars, the coupes, the GLC 300 coupes, SUV if you want to call it, they're kind of living up to what they're supposed to be. Not really much of anything, just good looking. Before we get to the rest of the car, I just wanted to take a second and thank you guys for watching the video. And also, you know what I'm about to say. If you've got a second, go ahead and click on the like button if you really like the video. And maybe hit that subscribe button and click on the little bell icon and hit all notifications. When you do that, you're doing it for me and this channel. And that really helps me out to continue going and making these videos, because it's really hard out here, standing in the sun next to these nice looking cars, filming these videos. It gets pretty taxing. Sometimes I start to sweat. And you can help me out by subscribing. Would you look at the size of that thing? Literally. GLC 300 Coupe. LED lights in the back. Huge padonkey. That's right, it's got a big rear end. And it's there to impress you. It's there to make you look good. And it's there to give you something new to look at. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. I actually like the rear end of this car. There are a couple things I don't like though. For starters, number one on the list, it starts not here at these beautiful LED lights. Let's not even get into that. But right down here. Here's the problem. See this? This is fake. There is no exhaust here. This is actually solid inside. The exhaust comes out through the bottom. May come as no shock to you that they're doing this. I don't really know what the purpose is of it all. Maybe just to make it look better, save some money. I have no clue. But whatever this is, I really need it to stop. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, you guys, if you're not electric, have a real exhaust. So before we get inside the trunk here of this big badonkey, I want to show you a little Easter egg surprise that maybe you don't know about. You ready for it? Just focus all your attention on right here. I'll be right back. Did you see that glorious symbol open up and a little camera come look at you? That's right. The rear view camera is actually hidden back here. Now there's no sensor hidden here. It's just a camera. Sensors are actually right down here in a great position. Because, you know, if you have them up here, but something's a little lower, you're going to hit it. And that's why Mercedes-Benz went ahead and put these sensors down here. And while you're down here, take a look at this nice, beautiful diffuser. Great attention to detail that they're giving the coupe. Now let's take a look at that trunk. Now you've taken a great look at this delicious rear end, right? You've seen the magic of the camera, the LED lights, the fake exhausts, the fact that there's low profile sensors on the bottom. So now I introduce you to the trunk. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the trunk of the GLC 300. This 2020 GLC 300 has this amount of space for the trunk area. Can you imagine that? Calling this an SUV with this amount of trunk space. It has just enough room to maybe put your bag, which is right here. Your travel bag, that is. But did you notice something interesting? Look how high I have to pull this bag off the ground. It's a little weird, right? Could you imagine if this bag was filled with 100 pounds worth of weight? I'd have to literally start from the bottom, use my legs and my glutes, and lift it into this car. Again, this is not really an SUV. So if you're buying this for the reason of owning an SUV, you're making a huge mistake. But if you want something that's a status symbol, looks good, trendy, and is one of the #1 selling Mercedes-Benz of all time, maybe you might want to get one of these if you got 50,000 to spare. Moving on, you have your bag here, which there's enough room for, right? your stunner shades, because you need 2 of them when you own a car like this. You can't have just one. You should always have 2, you know, just in case. And I don't even know what the hell these are. But you might be asking yourself, is there any room back here to put things in? Maybe you got to go to Home Depot. The answer is simple. Yes, there is. How about another one? Okay, there's some room. These are electronically controlled, obviously. So you can put the seats down and maybe transport some stuff. Put a few suitcases. But you know, in being all fair and being honest to you, there is one more area of this car that stores cargo. And it's not really obvious. It's not this net right here. Let me make it a little simple for you. Down here. You see, there's no spare in here. There's no real equipment. Well, maybe some tools. But you can actually store stuff down here in this cubbyhole, which is actually pretty cool. So you get the style. You get the room to store stuff. Fold down your seats if you want to. Maybe, you know, put a bag or 2 or some of these random green things. I don't even know what the hell they are. And you could do all this for over $50,000 in a Mercedes-Benz. Sounds great, right? So before we get to the rest of the car, let me just go ahead and close this up, because I don't think that these things are power. As a matter of fact, I know they're not. So while you're closing this in your $50,000 car, it's a lot of style. You do get the luxury, though, of a soft closing, controlled rear hatch. And you can also lock all the doors from here too. Check this out. Kudos to Mercedes-Benz for doing that and throwing that in, I guess, for free. So moving on to the interior of the car, but before we get there, take a little note. The 3-pointed star, the decals are on the rims, it's on the keys. This key fob, it isn't really the most updated key fob I've seen. To be clear with you, it kind of looks antiquated. And to prove it to you even more, I'll show you why. An old school key. It's in there. Now, why would you need this old school key? Maybe because if your high-tech car doesn't want to open, you probably have to use this key somewhere. Where do you stick it? I don't really know where it goes. But I can tell you this much. For a car company that has effortless amount of technology, limitless amount of money, this technology? Really? I don't know. Mercedes-Benz, you might want to step it up. Take a page out of Tesla's book. Now, I know I promised we were going to get inside the car, but before we do that, there's one other little thing I need to mention to you guys before you buy this car. Maybe you guys are new to Mercedes-Benz or don't really know about the Mercedes-Benz paint. It's excellent. But there's one key element about Mercedes-Benz paint that you need to be aware of. These cars need to be hand washed. They cannot go through machines. You send this car through a machine, you're going to scratch up the paint. And the finishes here, although they don't look that great, maybe to you, they'll look a lot worse if you don't hand wash them. So definitely hand wash your Mercedes-Benz and you'll keep that brilliant paint. Or if you don't care, just go ahead and send it through a machine and look at all the scratches later. Did you hear that solid clank of the door? That's a solid clank of the door that's coming from Germany. 60% of this car was built in Germany. The other percentages, not really too sure, but I do know one thing. The engine is actually from the United States, assembled in Alabama. Not bad, Mercedes-Benz. A good blend of all the good and all the great, smashed into one great cookie. That's this car. Take a look at all these materials here. From the touchpad right here, which controls the MBUX system, to the touch screen. All of it's superbly great. Even these classic Mercedes-Benz swivelly air conditioning vents. You hear the clicking? That's Mercedes-Benz quality. I'll tell you a little bit about this car in a second. But for right now, I just want you to take in the atmosphere of this good cookie. So, I mean, taking a look at this great interior, I don't even need to go into so many descriptive words about it, because obviously everything's here. You've got the best of the best of the tech, the best of the style. Mercedes-Benz quality level, Rolls-Royce quality level stuff here.
What do you want to do?
What just happened? That's the Mercedes-Benz activating its MBUX system. It can get kind of annoying. I'll shut it down for now. Taking a look at the interior right here, you'll notice that everything seems like it has a purpose. There's buttons to control the air conditioning unit. There's buttons to directly control the menu. There's buttons to control the climate control on the other side of the car. There's buttons to pretty much do everything you can do in here is actually a button for it down here. Not every car has that. It's kind of a good thing, being a little old school in some ways. Even if you want a manual transmission, there's a button right here. You just click on this and you get manual mode. You want to switch your drivetrains from eco, sport, comfort. When you do all these things, you change the traction control settings, you change the steering wheel control settings, and you change the engine. So, a lot of different things you can do with this car from the push of a button. You have this leather wrapped steering wheel, which feels really sporty, by the way, and has a very good feel to it. The leather and the bolstering feels great. Paddle shifters with the plus indicated for upshifting on this one, and the minus indicating for downshifting on here. Plus and minus. You want to switch gears? Here's the park, here's the drive, and here's the reverse. Oh, there's that camera again. But did you notice something else? The camera actually has multiple views. Look at that. See that right there? Now this is the base model MBUX system. So a lot of the things that would be really impressive, like saying, "Hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
open the sunroof."
I'm sorry, but this function is not available in this vehicle.
It's not available. Now that kind of bothers me because you're paying $50,000 for an MBUX system that does not have the ability to open the sunroof. But I know for a fact other cars do. Other Mercedes-Benz in the lineup with the MBUX have the ability to open the sunroof, but this one doesn't. But I can ask Mercedes to, "Hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
I'm hot."
I'm setting the temperature on the driver's side to minimum.
Not bad. So the car is actually going to cool me off just by telling it to. It also controls the heated seats, which I could do by voice, but I'm not going to annoy you with that. Going on to the seats, it's got a 16-way chair here. Yeah. And the seats are perforated leather, even though it doesn't have AC. But it's multifunctional. I mean, you can like do all kinds of stuff with this. I don't want to bore you with all that, but take a look at this. The gauge clusters, they can be swapped out. I can move stuff from here. So this car, which is very customizable, provides you with a lot of information. Check this out. On this screen right here, you can actually see when I turn the steering wheel and find out how many degrees I'm turning it to. Right now, it's showing that I'm turning it by 36 degrees. Can you see that? And then when I'm turning it this way, you could see that the tire turns to 37 degrees. When I step on the brakes, you see it's indicated here. I'm stepping on the brakes. When I hit the accelerator, it shows the percentage. If I want to look at some of the engine functions, I can see my temperature, the engine torque, the performance, the battery, the air compression rate. It's a lot of information here. And it's all customizable. I can even see my average MPG, which is 21 miles per gallon so far. The point about all these toys is it's all customizable. Everything's customizable in the center stack. Is it very easy to use? No. Is it very friendly? No. But if you have the car long enough and you want to, you can customize all these things. And you can have a great time with your car. Your car can be completely as unique as the GLC is intended to be, given that it's basically a car that has 4 doors and it's stretched out and it's not really an SUV. That's all part of the deal. One other great thing about the Mercedes-Benz in particular is that it has dual phone connectivity. What that means is you can have 2 phones, your work phone and your personal phone, connected to the system at the same time. So you could get messages and incoming calls both at the same time into the car, or maybe have your passenger connect their radio or their Spotify or maybe their music that they're listening to the car, and then maybe you can receive your calls. So this car can do all kinds of stuff, including providing its own vehicle Wi-Fi provided through Mercedes-Benz. It'll set up a hotspot for you. So there's a lot of little interesting things that this car can do, but it all comes at a price. And you got to be willing to pay it, which brings me to a very deep conclusion. So I know we were talking about the interior and we were actually in the interior, so it's kind of hard to see what I'm talking about. But obviously the seats have multiple functions. Look at this. You see this little top half? That bolster is controllable. Gives you some leg support. You've also got lumbar and lower support right here. And you'll notice that the seats are perforated even though you don't have AC seats. No AC seats, not at this price point, but that doesn't stop the back from being kind of small. But I will give you this much. Normally these cars that are called coupes, they don't have 5 passenger seating. They have 4. This one seems to have 5. And judging by, it's actually not bad. It's pretty good in here. It's comfortable. Got some nice AC vents, you know, some creature comforts like 15 volts adapter. Not bad. The ceiling, I'm not very tall, so I mean, you know, I can't really say if it's good or bad, but doesn't seem too bad. I will tell you what isn't that great. Are you looking at me right here in the face? What's not great is the fact that the sunroof doesn't stretch all the way to the back. No panoramic sunroof? How do you explain that in a car this expensive? I guess it must be all going to the looks. But speaking of looks, look at this door. It's beautiful. Look at the stitching. Beautiful. Even the buttons are beautiful. Oh, and I forgot to mention that cup holder. That cup holder. Why don't you go over to the other side and I'll show you the cup holder. Take a good look at these cup holders. You ready? You ready for the cup holders? Oh, they're not there. They're right there. Isn't that brilliant? Cups actually go in here. And yeah, they fit. And it's not just one. There's 2. See that? Mercedes-Benz ingenuity. Not bad. Oh yeah, that reminds me. A special thanks to Tony for lending us this car. Great friend. Always there for me. Lending me your cars. Appreciate it, Tony. When you hop in your GLC and you're about to take off for a drive, you'll notice when you first come into the car, an image of the GLC front grille will pop up, kind of giving you that Mercedes-Benz intro. But when you start it up, you briefly see the logo. I love these chrome buttons. And actually, there's a little Easter egg here. If you hit this volume button, it instantly mutes everything. Great job, Mercedes. I'm about to adjust my telescoping steering wheel and go for a little drive. There's that camera again. Now, right from the get-go, driving this Mercedes, I really feel like it's a proper Mercedes. I'm not just saying that because Tony lent me his car or the fact that I'm driving a Mercedes today, but I'm going to tell you, I've actually been driving Mercedes for quite some time. And I've driven the old Mercedes, I've driven the new Mercedes, the Mercedes from the 90s, the 80s, the 2000s, and this has that proper Mercedes-Benz feel. The steering wheel solid, the direction of the steering wheel feels intentional. The cabin, looking around, feels very Mercedes with these circular air vents, which are, common now, but when they first came out, it was kind of a big deal. Wow, they hadn't done that since the 70s or 80s. Driving it on the street, you can definitely notice that the car is just a car. It doesn't have an SUV feel. It's got a very easygoing, car-like feel that it's definitely something that you would use for commuting or going around town, maybe driving around Melrose or Beverly Hills. This isn't something you're going to want to take off-road. I mean, I can't imagine that you would. You have the 4MATIC system, but the 4MATIC system is really just designed to give you that edge during the winter season or heavy rain, or maybe even, just trying to get some more traction when you're taking off. Now, the takeoff on this car, it's decent. 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. Camrys and Hondas do that kind of takeoff, but there is a little bit of a difference. You do feel the acceleration more on this car. And do you know why that is? Because the transmission and the four-wheel drive work together to give you that linear, off-the-line, good performance. All that is coming from a four-cylinder, which is really unbelievable. To tell you completely that this car is rubbish off-road, I'm probably going to have to say it's going to be rubbish off-road. I'm using some Top Gear lingo for you, so that way you can get nostalgic. But on-road, which is where you're going to use it every day, I would just use this car every day. No problem, hands down. The visibility out of that back window, it's not that great, but it's not even a big deal. The visibility out of the side mirrors, it's a little strange, and I'll tell you for the exact reason of this. This side mirror right here is actually a little smaller than that side mirror. Not by much, but it is. You have a little bit less mirror on this side than you do on that side. Don't believe me? Get out some measuring tape and see for yourself. It's smaller. Driving it, you feel confident though. You feel good. And I think you would enjoy owning one of these. I would personally buy one just for the status symbol, because it's really a status symbol. When you buy this car, it's because you probably own multiple cars. You probably already have an SUV at home. You already have a car, but you want that one little thing to say, hey, I don't need any of those things. Let me just buy one of these and waste it, but look good doing it. Get my point? Get yourself a GLC 300 Mercedes-Benz. And if you could do it, get a 2020. You'll get a really good bang for your buck. That's all I got to say about this. If you've got a second, go ahead and click on the like button if you really like the video. And maybe hit that subscribe button and click on the little bell icon and hit all notifications.